Thanks, everyone.
Oh, okay. Everybody okay? Yeah. Did you all have a good time?
Yes, it was lovely and peaceful.
I didn't say
weird.
We're all still here.
Yeah. It was weird. 3 of us instead of about 12.
Really?
My father-in-law used to say that's another one out the way.
Are we on?
Yeah.
My mum used to say
Are
that
we on?
every year.
Right, could you all mute? Are we live? Right, good evening, councillors. Welcome to this first meeting of Planning, Property and Services. Happy New Year to you all. I hope you all had a good festive season under the circumstances. We are now live streaming on YouTube, just remember the protocols that are in use for remote technology. Any apologies for absence, Deputy Clerk?
I haven't received any, and I was just wondering whether Councillor Johnson is here observing or as a substitute. The only person who's not here is Councillor Horsley.
Yeah, I think, I don't know whether, are members happy for Councillor Johnson to stand in for Councillor Horsley? Agreed. Declarations of interest. 3A, to record declarations of interest by any member of the council in respect of the agenda items listed below. Members declaring interest should identify the item, agenda item, and type of interest being declared. None. And 3B, to note dispensations given to any member of the council in respect of the agenda items listed below. 4, to note Planning and Property and Services Committee held on Tuesday the 24th of November 2020. These went to full council for approval on the 30th of November. I'd just like to bring one item up which Matt and Libby and myself discussed earlier. It's the skate park. It's in the previous minutes, 109/20, the lockdown procedure for the skate park. For some time, we've been discussing what the future is of the skate park, and I really do think, members, that we should move ahead. When circumstances do allow us to do a consultation with the young people that's using the skate park, and then approach East Riding, which I think we have done already, and I don't think there's a problem for us to upgrade on the existing site. To be honest with you, I don't think we're going to get anywhere else than the existing site that we've already got on the leisure centre site, and so that's what I would like like us to see happen. Claire,
Couldn't you double the size of it? It's not big enough.
No, no, we've been down that route before, Claire, and and the size. Yeah, we'd love to double the size of it, but unfortunately, all the land around is being taken up, and we're slow off the mark to take over the tennis courts. The tennis courts are now used for young people training on motor scooters, motorbikes. So we are where we are with it. But I just thought I'd use the excuse, the skate park closure during lockdown. we're at that situation now, irrespective of how Matt and Libby try and Helen try to lock it down. The gates are always unlocked and it's being used. So, you know, that's how popular it is. So I'd like us to move positively this year, sooner rather than later, that we get something up and running for improving the skate park. It's coming up to just shy of 17, 18 years old, and it does need refurbishing, needs a major improvement. So is that okay, Ian?
Just if we are able to refurbish it, it'd be nice to have a 20th anniversary opening.
Yep.
To tie in with that.
Well, that's what I was thinking, Ian, because and also I was thinking that we get the original well, he's a young man now, back, Johnny Ogilvy, who was the brains behind that skate park, and look how successful he has proved to be. He's no longer living here. Matt knows of him, but it was an uphill struggle to get it, and now we've got it. We want to look after it, and it's time we improved it. It's time.
Well, it'd be nice if we could work to that date. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're in agreement with that, are we? Yeah. Right then. So I'll move on then to.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Sorry.
Could just update members regarding the current closure or opening of it. We're still seeking definitive advice on that, because with the new lockdown, playgrounds can stay open, but outside gyms, tennis courts, golf courses must remain shut. So this kind of falls between the two in a way. It's a specific sports related venue, but nothing's been said about skate parks yet. But I'm sure within the next day or so, the East Riding will be able to advise us on that, whether or not we open it or close it.
Okay, is that all right? Yeah. Right. Item 5, delegated responses. This is being done due to there being no meeting in December, and Matt did consult with me, and it's they are listed on the other on page 1 and 2 of delegated and 3 delegated planning December 20. Okay, it's just to note that. 6 then, planning applications. They are before you. You've had them. I hope you've all had time to look at them. I've looked at them. I mean, the first 2 are in Woodmansey Parish, but they always consult with us, and it's the both of those we might as well take them together. One's for 145 dwellings, the other one is for 255, and it's for the landscaping and infrastructure designs. Personally, I don't see anything wrong with them. The landscaping, I think it's in keeping with it, and I don't have a problem with them. Nobody else? No. 9 Westwood Road is the 3rd item. It's in St Mary's West, and it's a variation yeah, got you. You've got your hand up, David, as well? No, Linda has. I've got you, Linda. It's a variation to condition approved plans 8, condition 8, brackets approved plans. Yeah, to allow for an alteration to the rear roof light of planning permission, erection of a single-storey and first floor extension to the rear, construction of a dormer extension with glass balustrade to rear, and installation of a roof light to front and rear. Linda.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The original application for this was one which we objected to, and which there were 63 letters of objection, from residents around and about. However, East Riding of Yorkshire Council saw fit to pass that planning. This looks as if they want to put more glass in place. Clearly, it's already the size of it already affected the houses on either side, and my concern with this is that there's going to be even more glass in number 9, and therefore they will be able to overlook the adjoining properties even more so than they could before. I personally think East Riding of Yorkshire Council will probably let it go through, but I can call it in and we can ask them to have further discussions on it. My view is that they're kind of pushing the envelope here a little bit. They've put planning in, which was already, there's Councillor Horsley. They've put, if you remember, this one was destroying one of these beautiful Georgian windows, of which there are only 3 examples in Beverley, by this alteration of this property. And that was passed, and this is now kind of pushing the envelope a little bit. So I don't know what everybody else thought about it, but my view is that they've already got permission for the original plans that we didn't like, and now they're wanting to make it even more, even worse from that perspective.
So what's members' views then? Do you think we should object? Ian and then Claire, then Anne.
Without seeing it in the context of where 9 Westwood Road is, the drawings are very professional and look fairly in keeping.
Yeah.
I don't recall the first lot, to be honest.
Yeah, it was last year, Ian, fairly early on, where we objected, and then there was 63 or 64 letters of objection, and they represented at the committee, and the committee still passed it.
Well, from my perspective, I've seen worse extensions. That's the only thing I can say.
Right. Claire?
Well, if the first one we rejected because it destroyed a Georgian window, which there's only 3 examples in Beverley, then we can't pass this on principle because they've still done something that we didn't want. So we should reject it because it's the whole principle that they're getting rid of something historical, which they should have got no business doing.
Yeah, I agree.
They should be rejected outright.
I agree with Claire.
Should be rejected outright.
Are you proposing that then, Claire, that we object to
I
it?
propose that we reject it on the principle that they should never have had the first one passed because they're destroying the fabric of historic Beverley.
Please, if I can.
Yes, David. Can I just ask, are you seconding that proposal, Anne?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, right, David.
Sorry. The problem is with the planning, and I completely understand what Claire says there, but you've almost got to take it as a new application, and I'm sure the Deputy Clerk and Libby would agree with me here that what's happened in the past can't influence our current view on this application. So we have got to make a decision what's in front of us. Now, I do agree. I think it's sad that it went through to start with, but I just wanted to say, I think we'd struggle to object under legitimate reasons, under planning, taking out the historical first application that went in.
Just before you, Claire, Matt wants to come in. He might be
Yeah,
able to help out.
Yeah, I was going to say, similar to Councillor Boynton, that you need to view each application on its own merits, and the application as it stands has been passed, and the application includes the removal of that Georgian window. It's now whether or not you agree or disagree with the revision to what's already been passed.
Claire?
Well, in a way, it does make a mockery of the whole system. I mean, we're here. I'm sure the Civic Society can't be very happy about it either. And we live in a town that's of great historical interest. I just don't understand how, you know, the whole thing is just crackers. They shouldn't be allowed to do it, full stop. Why can't they why can't they just keep the original window and build it somewhere else?
Yeah.
Is the problem that the people on planning at East Riding are not Beverley people and don't know the situation? Because that's what happened before we one or two planning things.
If I may, and they did have a site visit, but unfortunately the site visit was during lockdown, so they couldn't really see much. And they could only really go into the garden of the adjoining property, and not really get a full picture of the buildings and the importance of these three buildings. But as David Boynton said, we have to view this on the merits of the fact that window has already gone, the extension's already been built. My feeling is this is just pushing the envelope a little bit further.
Which they shouldn't be allowed to do.
Yeah, of course they are, because they put in more planning permission to do that. So, I mean, it's a little bit like somebody saying they want to build a 2-story property and then putting in planning permission to say they wanted to build 3 after they've already got planning for 2.
Yeah.
Have we got anything under the conservation area that we can bring in, Matt? Do you know? I've just been looking and there is no information from the Civic Society, by the way.
The Civic Society chair might not have actually picked this up because the next door neighbour didn't know about it.
Well, why doesn't somebody tell the Civic Society about it then? And get them on side as well, because we're obviously getting nowhere fighting it on our own because they don't ignore everything we say.
Right, Tom and then Ian.
Thanks, Chair. I've just been looking at the plans.
Can the rest of you mute yourselves, please?
It seems to me, Chair, that the plans are actually improved on the originals. It doesn't seem to me that they're wanting to put more glass in as such. It seems to me that the alteration is on the second floor with the window, and they're actually in the original, in the current plans that have been approved, there are actually aluminium glazed doors on the second floor where a sash window used to be, and that would enable a balcony to be put on the building above the actual extension, which would be encroaching on neighbours that on their actual privacy. But what seems to me on the revised plans that have come in, them doors aren't there anymore. They've actually replaced them doors with a sash window, and there isn't a balcony on top of the extension. In fact, they're actually wanting, they've taken that out and they put a roof light in there instead, where that would have been. So I'm not. That's to me what the revised plans are, as far as I can gather. So actually, in my opinion, this is a better set of plans, more in keeping with the area, more in keeping with the listed historical nature of the building, and therefore I would be in favour of the proposals.
Thank you. David Ardsley.
Can I just get accurate information on one point? Has the job already been done? With the original destruction? Because that alters the situation totally legally. If the Georgian window is already gone, then we have to treat this as a difference between the two plans. But if the Georgian building is not already gone, they have in effect withdrawn their original application and substituted a variation. And you can still object on the same grounds that you did originally, that this is destroying a Georgian window.
Ian and then Claire.
The amendment and the submission are dated end of October, November, aren't they? So I don't know whether they've actually created that. The fact that somebody said that Linda said the neighbour wasn't notified, but if there were 63 letters of objection, there's obviously been somebody banging a drum around there, and it is very much in the location is very much in the civic society hotbed.
Ian, it was the original application that there were 63
right.
Objections to, including the civic society.
Right.
And
Claire and then Tom.
Well, I totally agree with Councillor Horsley, and that's why I think we should reject it on that basis.
Tom?
There's actually, in the previous application that was approved, there's condition on there for the extension, for the single story extension cannot be used as a balcony or roof garden. So what seems to me is that they've come back with alternative plans, because obviously they don't want a dormer on the second floor, where a window is, if they can't actually open the dormer and go outside onto the roof. So I'm all for saving historic windows of Beverley and for keeping the town historic and preserving history, but this seems to me to be quite a sensible plan now, and this seems to me to have gone through the planning process correctly, and this is how the planning process should be, that in principle extensions are allowed on historic buildings, but they have to be in keeping, and it wasn't granted with the balcony that was in keeping, and therefore they've come back with alternative plans. And also, can I say, as somebody who lives in a house with sash windows that are single paned, not double glazed, it makes it incredibly difficult to keep the house energy efficient. And it may be that they're wanting to replace these sash windows in order to make the house more energy efficient and to preserve heat. So I really don't see anything wrong with this application, and the fact that there's been no comments from neighbours, it kind of speaking volumes to me.
Thank you, Tom. Linda?
Right, so if you actually look at the plans, it's a ground floor extension which is filling most of the footprint of the actual space that house exists, and you can see that's going to be a kitchen. Where the Georgian window was, it's being pushed out and there's an extension on the first floor. So that's going to become another bedroom. Then they're also extending, as you can see in the roof light, they're putting another bedroom in on the top floor. So they're turning this from a nice 2-bedroomed property with the original Georgian window was a lighting for the staircase. That is being destroyed. And there will be another bedroom on the top floor. So they're turning what is a 2-bedroomed into a 3-bedroomed, which it wasn't meant to be. You can see on the drawing that to the right of the wall shown on the plans is the Georgian window at number 7, and you can see the equivalent the other side. And if you stand at the back of Westwood Terrace, you can see all these gorgeous windows. Now, secondary double glazing will help with regard to insulating properties, but the point is that this is a conservation area, and the property number 11, thank you. The property at number 11 is grade 2 listed, and they are extremely concerned that certainly that window in the roof will overlook their property completely. The other issue that they have is on the other side is that because of the extension, the first floor extension, that will also reduce the light into the window of number 7. So I think the point is that this is, they can't actually go out onto the top of the kitchen, i.e. the ground floor extension from that first floor extension, but a bigger window in there is just going to overlook the properties even further. I know that the neighbours, number 11 and number 7, spent a lot of time and energy objecting to the original plans, not because they didn't agree that the house didn't need to be refurbished, which it certainly did. It was very old-fashioned and it needed refurbishment, and they've got no issues with the plans for altering the onto the front. It's just their light amenity and the fact that this is so extensive with regard to the footprint of the actual space that this house covers. So I think that's the point, really. It's I just feel that they've taken a mile and now they want a mile and a half. That's my feeling about it. And
Okay,
if we are, yeah.
Okay, right. Claire, and then that's it. I'm going to move to the vote. Claire?
I just think it's criminal, and I just think we should reject it outright. I think it's disgusting what East Riding have done. Absolutely disgusting. And I think it should be kept as it originally was. If they're not happy, they should bloody well move somewhere else bigger and not destroy the fabric of the historic Beverley.
Right. I'm going to move to the vote now. All those in favour of Claire's proposal that we should reject it, please show. For? Those against?
Abstaining, really.
Yeah. Well, it's clearly that that vote is.
Could you just clarify that vote, just for the minutes, Pete? Could you just clarify that vote?
4 in favour of the objection, and 3. Are you abstaining, Ian? Are you abstaining?
abstaining.
Are you?
Mr. Chair, now that Councillor Horst is here, Councillor Johnson wouldn't have a vote.
No, I know that. So are you abstaining, Tom? You're
No.
against?
No, you said against, so I raised my hand.
Yes, against. Right, that's 2 against, 2 abstentions, and 4 so the objection goes. Okay.
And Mr. Chair, when it comes to submitting the comment, exactly which aspect are we is the council objecting on? Is it overlooking and loss of privacy, overbearing nature of the proposal? I'm looking at the examples that may be taken into consideration as material considerations.
Well, I would say loss of privacy, and your second point, Matt. Yeah. Okay.
Anne wanted to say something there.
Go on then, Claire, please.
No, Anne, I said Anne wanted to say something.
Right.
Sorry, no, I was repeating really what Matt was saying.
Okay.
That it was the historic stuff as well as the.
Yeah. Okie dokie. So the next one, 27 Outer Trinities, Minster South, erection of a single-storey glazed extension to the rear. I think that's straightforward. No objections. No objections. 75 Coltman Avenue, Beverley, erection of a single-storey extension to the front. It's common down there. All they have doing it's a very small extension. I think it's maybe 4 foot wide at the most, and it's just more or less an extension to the living room and to the hallway, making it more acceptable and desirable. Yeah. Okay. 11 Cottage Mews, Beverley, tree preservation order. Crown, it's to reduce the crown of 1 number holly tree by 10%. Yeah. All in agreement. And lastly, 12 York Road, Beverley, North Bar, without conservation area, removal of 1 number bay tree due to tree being too big and close to proximity to the wall. Yes, Ian.
Is there alternative planting provision being put in?
Well, Matt has put in that Beverley Town Council has no objection to this application on the conditions a suitable replacement tree is planted and that the work is carried out at a time that will have the least negative impact on wildlife. And it was the same for the other one as well, that suitable, negative impact to wildlife. Okay. Community involvement stroke garden. Yeah, this members is what I wanted to bring before you the last time. I've spoken with Ellen about it. There is a potential involvement from a community organisation. They've got special education needs, and the leader, as their leader, has approached Helen. It's all a bit up in the air at the moment. There is an area of land that's been identified, and an approach has been made to East Riding by the office, and it's basically just to say to you, are you happy that we move ahead with this? It will be beneficial to Beverley and the Swimo residents, because it's a piece of land on the estate, that they can get their help after lockdown, which will be springtime then, and then they would do the light work, planting and everything. It would give them a feeling of involvement, and the end result would be beneficial to their needs, and it would really raise the profile a little bit more of both what they're on with, and help them, educate them, and also they're going to be doing a bit of history as well, as to what years ago the residents on this estate, what they used to be involved with, the shipbuilding, Hodgson's tannery, etc., etc. So it's just to put it to you that we move ahead with this when Helen gets back from her illness, if that's okay. Yeah, thank you. Benches, to receive an update and consider further possibility of Beverley Town Council financially supporting the provision and maintenance of additional public benches in the town centre. Town clerk to report, but before Matt does report, I know Councillor Johnson has been talking to officers at East Riding, along with Matt, and they are quite happy for us to provide more benches, on the understanding that we consult with them where we're going to put them, and we maintain them. They don't have any facilities for maintaining any more benches or providing any more benches within the town. So if there's more benches to be provided, it's down to us as town council. That's where we are at the moment. So I'll let Matt speak, and then you, Ian.
Yeah, that's reflected, Mr. Chair. I emailed East Riding before Christmas, and they've confirmed that they're happy to work with us on that basis.
Yeah.
So any budget that would be set aside, I know councils, we're coming up to budget setting, any budget that's set aside for this or allocated to it needs to also factor in an amount for maintenance, ongoing maintenance, also the installation, because East Riding would install them because they're going on their land. We'd have to pay for the installation and the items. It's a sort of thing that East Riding want to do more of, but because of financial constraints, simply can't, which is why they like to work with town and parish councils in this way.
Yeah. Is that agreed then? Agreed. David, did you want to say something? David Tucker?
I think it's an excellent idea. And when we talked about for a while, and I think we should promote it as much as we can do. There's absolutely a complete lack of facility in terms of people coming and sitting down, especially in COVID times, when people can't go inside anywhere. And this is going to carry on for a while. So there's a huge rationale for doing it. So the point I want to make, though, is we talk about benches. When the original plans for the market came out, I consulted with the leader of the council and a range of other people, and I objected to the benches that East Riding have put in. A bench is something without a back. Nobody wants to sit on a bench. And when I pointed this out, they said, well, we don't want people staying for too long. Well, in a marketplace where people want to sit and have a coffee or natter to somebody or meet up with somebody and give it that continental feel we're looking for, people do want to be fairly comfortable. A large number of our visitors are elderly people anyway. So I would say, if we can refer to them as seats with a proper back, I'd get rid of some of the benches we've got now, because they're a complete waste of time, and that we think really, really carefully when we get to that point about the comfort of these things, and how people can sit there and enjoy passing the time of day.
Thank you, David, for that. Just a thought there, Matt. it may well be the case that we could take on the maintenance of the town centre seating throughout the town, and be responsible for the maintenance, and then if we do what David has suggested, we could take those type of benches out and resite them elsewhere.
Mr. Chair, just on that, it's something that we could consult further with East Riding officers when we're talking to them. Just regarding the benches without backs, I think part of the reason for those is because market stalls go over them. If you go on Saturday market, the ones directly outside the newsagents by the Market Cross, market stalls actually go over them. So that's maybe a reason why they're there. When it comes to the sort of seating that the town council would like installing, it'd have to be in consultation with people for the right design, etc., and the right look. But at the end of the day, it would be the town council making the decision. So as Councillor Tucker says, it needs to be appropriate. Just a caveat: no one at this point in time is advising people to go and sit on the bench and natter, because unfortunately we're currently not allowed, but it's for the future.
Yeah. All right. Claire, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say, can't there be more benches down Toll Gavel, down the main drag? That's where there should be more. I mean, I know there's some, but you need more down there.
Yeah, we'll look at that, Claire. The difficulty is we have to bear in mind heavy goods vehicles that are delivering first thing in the morning or during the night. That's the only thing. But we'll look at it. Well, yeah, it's doable, I would say. Okay. So we do that, Matt. We have a rethink about an approach to East Riding, about taking on responsibility and maintenance of all those benches in the town centre.
If you would like, Mr. Chair, I could liaise with them to find out what sort of costings they would advise regarding maintenance for current installations.
Yeah. Okay, we agreed. Linda.
Sorry, may I speak? Thank you, Mr. Chair. With regard to benches as well, there's also a bit of a dearth of cycle places in Beverley Town Centre. Sometimes you just cannot find anywhere to fasten your bike up. And East Riding have got a similar scheme whereby they will actually, if you want to put more cycle parking in, and especially if you want to make it a kind of a statement piece, they will share the cost with you as well. Not only obviously you have to pay for siting it, but they will actually share the cost of that piece of equipment as well. So that's something else that we could perhaps think about going forward.
Well, that's a good point, Linda. So Matt, whilst you're on, if members agree, if you could mention that, Matt, in your correspondence with East Riding about potential cycle shelters in the town centre. Okay. Thank you. All in agreement with that. Right. Thank you. The next item is you've all had a copy of this emergency plan, which is obviously it's a draft copy. Now, I've spoken with Matt, and Matt has suggested that I think it was Claire and myself and Matt look at this to save us going through it tonight, and we bring it back to the next meeting. Yeah, go on, Matt.
Previously, Mr. Chair, it was resolved that councillors Willis, Wildey, and yourself would work on looking at suggested updates, but that was more or less just before COVID came in last time, so that went to the wall. So it's the idea of, rather than a whole committee looking at it, 2 or 3 councillors and officer outside the meeting, having a remote meeting, or splitting up the work to come back with some proposals. This sort of document probably wouldn't be sorted out just like that, and it may be that it takes up a whole meeting when the final stuff's there. But it's getting it correct and getting it all done timely.
So, are we in agreement with that? That we have a Zoom meeting and to look at this and move it ahead. In agreement? Yes. Okay, David. Thank you.
And let's hope we never need it.
Yeah.
Sorry, could I just clarify,
David,
Mr. Chair,
did
which
you want to-
councillors are going to be involved?
David, did you want to say something, David Ardsley? Can't you unmute yourself? Yes.
Right. It's just that any other councillors who have something significant to say should contact one of those three.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I just confirm that's yourself, Councillor Williston, Councillor Wildey, and
Yes. Yeah. And anybody else? You've all had a copy of it. If you've got anything to contribute, do what David Ardsley suggested. Let your comments go to Matt. Yeah. Or Libby. Either of those two. Okie dokie. Matt? Yes?
yeah, just one more quick addition to that. When it was discussed previously, it may be that when the councillor and the three councillors and myself look at it, it might be that the specific areas that we ask other councillors to look at because of the information we need within their specialism and their knowledge. So it's about looking at dividing the work and then bringing people in, but not being too onerous on any one person.
No, that's correct. Yeah. Okay. Right. Thank you very much for that. So now item 10, to consider the exclusion of the public from the meeting on the grounds that confidential information in relation to the business contracts shall be disclosed. Public Bodies Admission of Meetings Act 1960. And the motion is that I propose that the public be excluded from the meeting on the grounds that confidential information in relation to business contracts shall be disclosed. Are we all agreed at that?